Hello, hello. Quick show. I thought this is something that is definitely appropriate to be sharing on this channel. It is a relatively recent ruling. This is actually being reported on from July. Excuse me. I said July. I apologize. June 18th, 2025. So it's actually a month old. This was reported on PBS, and I'm sure it's available on many other sites. Mark Kulak, Houstonic.live. 11:04 a.m. on Monday, July 21st, 2025. So this is from about a month ago. Nuclear waste can be temporarily stored in Texas. And New Mexico Supreme Court rules. Oh, I'm not going to donate. The Supreme Court on Wednesday restarted plans to temporarily store nuclear waste. I have to rephrase this. I apologize. The Supreme Court on Wednesday restarted plans to temporarily store nuclear waste at sites in rural Texas and New Mexico, even as the nation is at an impasse over a permanent solution. The justices, by a 6-3 vote, reversed a federal appeals court ruling that invalidated the license granted by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, that's the NRC, to a private company for the facility in southwest Texas. The outcome should also reinvigorate plans for a similar facility in New Mexico, roughly 40 miles away. The federal appeals court in New Orleans had ruled in favor of the opponents of the facilities. So lots of pros, lots of cons here, a little confusing. The court's decision is not a final ruling in favor of the licenses, but it removes a major roadblock. Roughly 100,000 tons. That's 100,000 times 2,000 pounds. That's a lot of weight of spent nuclear fuel, some of it dating back to the 1980s, is piling up at current and former nuclear plant sites nationwide and growing by more than 2,000 tons a year. The waste was meant to be kept there temporarily before being deposited underground. The NRC, that's again Nuclear Regulatory Commission, has said that the temporary storage sites are needed because existing nuclear plants are running out of room. The presence of the spent nuclear fuel also complicates plans to decommission some plants, the Justice Department said in the court papers. Plans for a permanent underground storage facility at Yucca Mountain, and that's northwest of Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, this is the Harry Reid state, the Whittemore-Peterson state. A lot of interesting things happen in Nevada. Offices of Harry Reid, that's where the late Senator Harry Reid, former Democratic Senate Majority Leader in the from the state of Nevada. Remember, one of his chief strategists was that Richard Verma from Pennsylvania, and I know there's a lot of stuff for you guys to handle if you've never seen the show before, but just some throwbacks to some things that we've mentioned before. You got to pause for this. The NRC's appeal was filed by the Biden administration and maintained by the Trump administration. So they seem to be on the same page here, huh? Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, and New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, a Democrat, are leading bipartisan opposition to the facilities in their states. Now, this is... Let's just think this through, okay? So there's a lot of opposition to the storage of the nuclear waste. New Mexico has been fighting the storage of the nuclear waste in Yucca Mountain. And that has been, there's one of the most prolific fights against nuclear storage. There's been the belief that all of those underground caves, which were going to be further mined out, would be the perfect storage location for all of this spent nuclear fuel. And many residents, they don't like the sound of spent nuclear fuel being stored nearby. It's scary. I mean, look at what Hollywood movies have told us about. You know, people melting and strange animals evolving and cancers and all kinds of horrible zombie apocalypses. No good things happen with spent nuclear waste. That's what we've been programmed to think. And now these governors are fighting against the storage of the spent nuclear waste. And so far, all of the nuclear power plants have been holding on to their spent nuclear waste. It's been piling up. I don't know why. First, I just sense that if it really was that bad, they would have found a way to get rid of it by now. Really, you couldn't find a place to put it by now? Really? I don't know. Something doesn't add up. For public relations reasons, of course, a lot of people are, these governors are fighting against it. But here it says the the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is fighting for it. They want to have that storage. The NRC granted the Texas license to interim storage partners based in Andrews, Texas, for a facility that could take up to 5,500 tons of spent nuclear fuel rods from power plants and 231 million tons. That's a lot. Wouldn't want that on your foot. Of other radioactive waste. The facility would be built next to an existing dump site in Andrews County for low-level waste, such as protective clothing and other materials that has been exposed to radioactivity. The Andrews site is about 350 miles west of Dallas, near the Dallas, New Mexico state line. The New Mexico facility could be in Lea County in the southeastern part of the state near Carlsbad. No connection, of course, to Carlsbad, California. Okay, so then there's the NRC gave a license for the site to Holtec, that's Holtec International, based in Jupiter, Florida. And Holtec has this site here, and it looks like I need to do a refresh because I know there's an image here. There it is, where they have these massive storage containers, and looks like this might be somewhat animation, I don't know, which can hold, thousands of pounds or tons of spent nuclear waste each. Now, this storage facility is going to be outside, and it's going to be on the ground. Okay. You have to start somewhere, I guess. But what's most bizarre about this is these storage facilities for the spent nuclear fuel, they're targeting 40 years. 40 years. So, half of a current average U.S. lifetime. 40 years is not that long, and there's going to be even more nuclear fuel after that. I don't know. So they're going to find a place to put all this stuff after that? 40 years is a very short period of time. What I'm here to do is I'm speculating that there is more to this than just them having now place to know how to put it. Yeah, there's a lot of states that do not want to store this stuff. There's a huge public relations battle here. However, I don't know why. I sense that they could have done something with it by now. Bury an enormous hole somewhere. Pay for everyone to move out of the state. I don't know. Or maybe there's something to what has been I've seen discussed in various places right now, that a large percentage of the potential energy which could be harnessed out of enriched uranium is still there. I've heard up to 96 or 97% of the potential energy which could be extracted out of enriched fuels is still there when it's considered to be a spent nuclear fuel. Maybe it's 95%. Either way, this is a massive quantity of potential energy, if there's any truth to that, even if that's just half true. Even if it's just half true. Even if, just to say, 50% is still there, that would mean, if they've only burned 4% of the potential energy, that would mean that there still is, simple math, 10 to 15 times as much energy available in the future as has already been extracted from all of the nuclear power plants. Even if this 96% available is not true, even if it's 50%, even if it's just 20%, that would still mean that there's 4 to 5 times as much energy potentially available in the future from all of the spent nuclear fuel, which is still just sitting there. So why throw it out? But also, we are still several decades away. We are still on a trajectory to reorganizing society and social norms and healthcare to create a world where we have how would you say, the necessary data collection devices, the real-time data collection that we would have on our bodies, perhaps even embedded into us, medical monitoring, food monitoring, currency monitoring, mental monitoring, and so on, as well as the data centers, which would be required to collect all of this data and then create models on how human life works, how to reverse engineer the human genome, the machinery of human life, or how to, via epigenetics, without modifying human life, how to optimize it. What's the optimal climate conditions, the optimal food conditions, and so on and so forth. Which conditions allow for the optimal cognitive capabilities and so on. We don't know any of that yet, and we're going to need a lot of data, a lot of computers, and a lot of compliance to make it possible. And when those computers are finally built, those next 2 or 3 generations in the future, data centers, and by the way, we just don't jump to them. We have iterations to get there. There needs to be data centers today that learn things and discover things that make the data centers of tomorrow possible, right? You just don't, if you want to breed show dogs, you just don't start off with one dog and then have a show dog. Boom, there's the show dog. Usually you have to selective breeding, right? And exercise and so on and so forth. I don't know. I don't do that type of stuff, but the general idea is that it would take a few generations. So when those generations come and those massive data centers are here, they're going to need a lot of electricity. And where is it going to come from? It's going to come from nuclear. We've already been told nuclear power is the future of powering data centers. This stuff is very visible in the news, these fights over the spent nuclear fuel. Yes. Even in spite of my what I've learned, at least, I still wouldn't want to live next to a great big pile of spent nuclear fuel. It just doesn't seem like a smart thing to do. But I'm not super paranoid about it either. But there are all these public relation battles that are happening right now. But I also think that it's known to some people that this stuff is extremely valuable. And that's why they want to keep it around. Otherwise, I think they could have done it. They could have dumped it by now. As a matter of fact, every country that has nuclear power plants is holding on to their spent nuclear fuel. Did you know that? Matter of Sweden and Norway or Finland, or all three, are building massive underground tunnel systems to store nuclear waste. Why is it so necessary to store nuclear waste into a place where you can back a truck up to it in 20 to 40 years and bring it back out of the tunnel? It's not rocket science. Anyways, here we are, guys. Spent nuclear fuel. It's about the future of AI, the future data centers, the future of reverse engineering the Human Genome Project. This stuff is very important. Very few people talk about this. And if you're curious why I even looked at this particular story, it's because I was encouraged to consider the possibility that the whole Epstein-Maxwell nonsense has something to do with business or mining. And then I realized that there's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. Well, it's not necessarily close to these facilities, but I don't know. There could be something to that, because this is the top national security agenda. This is at the top of the list. So if there's anything business-wise there, maybe I could go with that. So that's it, guys. Just a quick show. Stay positive today. Stay positive. Minimize the social media consumption, okay? If you're getting angry, if you're getting bad vibes, put the phone down, put the screens down. I am going to listen to a brand new Joe Marshall video that was just posted yesterday. It is titled Property Rights versus Human Rights in the Centrally Controlled Hierarchy of Science. It's a whopper of a video. It's 2.5 hours. But I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to go outside and take care of some invasive weeds. That's a positive way to be learning. All right, guys. Thank you. Take care. Stay positive. Love you very much. God bless. I'm going to do another show later today, by the way. God bless.